What's up everyone, this is Ignatius and this is now my 12th video in PoE2. Thank you all for the comments and participation in the discussion on my first video regarding hollowedpalm league start plans. I wanted to make a follow-up video that outlines a lot of the things that have surfaced in the discussion. I think some key things about hollowedpalm that I see a lot of people are misunderstanding, and some insights that have surfaced in the discussion, as well as some remaining questions regarding the archetype that I still have, and maybe we can continue to answer together. Before I dive in, I had 3 things I wanted to point out just in general. So again, thank you all for the awesome discussion on the first video. We're up to 352 comments. This has been fantastic. The discussion in Discord is popping off. Everybody is learning lots of things and refining techniques. This is awesome. If you haven't joined our Discord and you are on Discord, come join. We're learning lots of stuff together. It's awesome. Number 2, I am new. I used to kind of always say this in all my videos, but I'm just trying to cut things faster, so I've been leaving it off. But on this one, I'll go ahead and say I am new to PoE overall. I'm like 3 years young. That's really young in the PoE scene. I am not a be-all expert on anything. I usually just refer to myself as a potato. I'm just another guy, but I do tend to deep dive things and come up with some decent ways of sharing what I've learned. But for the most part, I make these videos to guide and then to dialogue and to learn with the community. I've found over and over again that even the best PoE players sometimes have to completely change their league start plans because of changes to the game or things we just don't realize how they work. I know that in PoE, it can take hundreds of hours to master a single archetype, and there are players in this scene with over a decade of experience. So yeah, I'm just a potato, but I have found that I have good things to share with people, and that we learned a lot together in the .2 season and had some incredible success with some really cool builds. So hopefully it's still valuable. Lastly, I am league starting Huntress. If you didn't watch my first video, Huntress into Amazon. I'm going to do a later swap to hollowedpalm, and if it does not work, there will be a fallback to an evasion stacking super high movement speed crit bow build that I'm absolutely certain will be really powerful on Huntress and on Amazon. So that's kind of where I'm going. All right, let me dive into why I actually made this video. So I've got some bulleted hollowedpalm thoughts, some things to remind everybody about, and some remaining questions. All right, a lot of chat about Monk. So in my opinion, Monk is fine. Monk is strong. I think Monk is actually stronger for, the campaign and early mapping of hollowedpalm, and then I think it gets edged out by the other options, potentially even 3 or 4 other options, and Monk does not have the highest ceiling. So, with hollowedpalm, we're using dash skills. So attack speed is how we are going to scale movement speed, and accuracy is how we are going to scale attack speed with Falcon Dive, along with the evasion stacking on the gear. So a lot of people are talking about how with Monk, you can scale ES, which will scale your base crit. Yep, that's really cool. But then you've got to have attack speed in order to hit these really, really high ceilings. And at that point, you have to start abandoning the ES. You start, losing the base crit. Amazon is where we sort of hop in and do better in all of these categories. I think Gemling does them really well also. People have mentioned Ellie Sunder. We're going to be crit capped. Ellie Sunder is really, really powerful. I think it'll be, I say potentially useless this league. Let me refine that a bit. I think it will be very useful in the campaign and in early mapping. I do think when we hit the late game, and I am talking like the min-maxed end game of a PoE season, and we get access to Rakiata's Flow, even if it is expensive, this is going to invert monster elemental resistances. So yeah, the default Ellie inversion is going to be, of course, better than Sunder and any other options on items. Sunder is really good. I think it'd be really powerful and really helpful. I'm not saying Monk is bad. I am just trying to say that when I look at and target what is the highest ceiling, Monk is not it. Lastly, I think if hollowedpalm really whiffs and I want to pivot to something else, I do think the next best highest ceiling build is going to be a crit stacking, evasion stacking, movement speed bows build. And I think Amazon is going to be fantastic with this. I think Gemling could be really good as well. Number 2, a lot of talk about Thuderfists. I think it looks like it might be bad. This isn't a hot take. I'm just comparing this to what I know in rare gloves, and I just don't think it will exceed the capacity for bonuses on rare gloves at all. Why is this? So number one, the only way we're going to scale our base damage from hollowedpalm, which we don't know the values for yet, so we don't know how valuable this is, but it's going to be with melee skills. And on rare gloves, you can get a +2 with triple flat. The +2 is in the suffix, the triple flat is in the prefix. So yeah, we get a lightning damage boost. We don't know the range here, but it's going to be nothing compared to a triple flat. And then also, like, the attack speed that scales here is lower than what we can get on gloves, and we cannot roll melee skills onto these Thunderfists, obviously. The base evasion and ES rolls are more flexible on a rare glove. Again, we don't know the ranges here. We just have some screenshots, but I'm just kind of assuming there. The base crit that it's giving is a joke, especially for Amazon. Again, I don't have ranges, just 2 screenshots, and it's a joke in both. And then you're going to need a level 20 crackling for the base damage, because your hollowedpalm damage is based on the base damage. And also, this is just going to scale it, so I think it's going to be expensive. You could probably delete this line and just go with this, and it makes a good case. All that said, why might it still be good? We don't really know a whole lot about Crackling Palm. We have some footage, and that's about it. So maybe Crackling Palm is cracked. Haha, who knows? But yeah, in general, I think people are really excited about Thunderfist, and I think it might be overhyped because rare gloves are insane for flat damage and melee skills and attack speed. Number 3, this is a huge one. Maybe this should have been number 1. You do not want to league start hollowedpalm. I'll just read this. Don't trick yourself. This is actually terrible until you have scaled the crit to 100 and the attack speed substantially. It's these last 2 bullet points that make this good. Of course, using a quarterstaff skill gives us lots more things we can do. We probably still don't do this without the first line, but these last 2 lines are what make it actually viable. So for your campaign, don't plan around how early am I switching to hollowedpalm. I think you're switching to it in late maps at the earliest. So my plan, I've been testing a lot of different things out in tons of campaign reiterations, but I'm probably going to stick with a bow until it is time to swap. There is a chance I get over into some quarterstaff stuff earlier, but because I'm on Amazon and it's melee and Amazon's a bit squishy, this is tedious. There's also some cool spear stuff I'm testing with. Overall, I'm at bow until swap, and for sure, for everyone, you do not want to, quote, league start hollowedpalm. This is something you're swapping to later. Number 4, Mana Leech is very important in your build planning. You're not going to be able to cut down gem levels to save on mana because your base flat is going to be determined by gem level, I'm pretty sure. So you actually be buffing gem level as high as you can, and so it's going to make the mana cost of your primary ability really high, and your attack speed is going to be insane if this is good. So mana is huge. I've spotted some notables here that are good, but our passive tree is changing. Just something to think about as you're planning, like, where do I want to go and what other nodes do I want to take. There's also a Leech support gem that you can drop in a pinch if you're struggling. Wanted to call this out, Soul Thief. And then also Sapphire Jewels have a pretty low weight mechanism, but it is recovery on kill, which is really, really good. So keep an eye out for that. Number 5, some staff skills have a dash ability built in that essentially converts your attack speed into movement speed. For me, I'm planning to run Tempest Flurry, which is sort of the archetypal way to do this in this type of build. And I noticed in the YouTube comments, a lot of people just don't realize that inherently, that attack speed is movement speed for Amazon and for this build. I also thought Way of the Wind was interesting. Increase maximum dash distance with unarmed attack skills. Some questions there, but I thought it was interesting. Number 6, as you're planning your build, the main thing is this. How are you going to hit crit cap? I think if you're not crit capped, you will not be successful. I think on Amazon, it is very easy. I'm going to have a video tomorrow on some of the math I've grinded for hitting it on Amazon, some of the flexibility, some of the options. On other classes, it's a bit more tedious, but I think anything can be patched up with the ES bonus on hollowedpalm technique. Generally, I kind of think of it as you want to get to 25% base, and then you only need 300 increase scaling to put you at 100. I'm also looking at the fact that if you are over 100, because we really can realistically consider that here, like if we get to 30 here and then 300 base, we can consider some things on passives, which, sort of negate your crit chance for crit multiplier. And also there's this gem, which is 100% bonus, 20% less chance. Kind of interesting. Number 7, I do think Gemling is still going to be the best. Like when all the dust settles and everybody's like going full min-max or re-rolling new characters, Gemling is going to outshine the rest. It doubles the accuracy bonuses from decks which have been improved. It has easy access to really good stat stacking. It's got a quality cheat on the ascendancy with 10% quality, which is really powerful for some of the skills we're considering. And then it has gem levels on the ascendancy, which is how we're scaling our base hollow palm damage. So yeah, Gemling's awesome. I said it in the last video. I just want to say it again. Why am I not running? Well, it shines in the ridiculous endgame. I can reroll to it later. I think rerolling is going to be even easier this season. I thought it was already easy last season. So if it's way, way better, I'll reroll. And then Amazon pivots better. So if I'm in the late campaign or early mapping and hollow palm just obviously isn't cutting it, or they release the data on the flat numbers and we can tell even beforehand that it's not cutting it, I do think Amazon is going to be the next best in class for like a high-end evasion stacking crit bow. So I will pivot over to that. Lastly, my remaining questions regarding hollow palm, if you know the answers, please tell us, or like any thoughts, please join the discussions. We still don't know our flat damage amounts. This could completely null the build. This is why I want to be able to pivot. I already mentioned it a few times, but that is like the number one. We still don't know how much damage this thing does. How do support gems with weapon modifiers actually work? Primal Armament supported skills deal 25% more weapon elemental damage. Does that work? Am I just stupid and I should just know right away if that works or not? I don't know. How do passive nodes related to weapon modifiers actually work? I've heard people say that these aren't going to work. You know, increased crit bonus with quarterstaffs. You know, somebody was like, well, you don't have a quarterstaff, so that doesn't work. I don't know. I'm just reading text here like anybody else. Can attack as though using a quarterstaff? Unarmed attacks that would use your quarterstaff damage? I don't know. Does it work? Does it not work? Does anybody know for sure? If so, tell us how you know for sure. And then will crit multiplier look good in the new passive tree? I've heard people say like crit's getting nerfed. I haven't found evidence for that. Maybe I just missed it. I've looked through the patch notes a few times. Let us know how and why crit is getting nerfed. But we also have like tons of new nodes coming. So maybe old crits getting nerfed, new crits coming in. We'll see. It's kind of a huge thing. All right, lastly, just a rehash of my plans. I'm going to league start Huntress. Still refining my campaign approach. I think it will be bows or spears until the swap to hollow palm. And if the swap flops, we'll go back to bows. I am going to have build guides on Mobalytics for leveling. And I'll be constantly updating things as I change plans. Going to swap to hollow palm technique really when the ES and evasion on gear hits certain benchmarks that I'm targeting, and my video tomorrow will go over this, and I think it happens after the campaign for sure. My primary hollow palm skills are going to be Tempest Flurry for general clear. There may be some cast on crit spell stuff if there's space for it in the mana use, and then Flicker Strike for bosses. This is going to need a lot of testing. I did have a video last season with a Flicker deleter that was really, really awesome at deleting pinnacle bosses in one shot. It would take less than a second. They did just update Flicker Strike. I think it was this morning or maybe last night. They changed the quality. So now it's not a chance to not remove charges. It is more damage per power charge consumed. I think part of this was like they're releasing new quality on the lineage support gems, 10% quality, and then Gemling has access to 10%, and then I think you can over quality the base gem. So they probably noticed an exploit here in the ability for Flicker to, like, I don't know, bounce around a whole map, which would have been amazing. So yeah, fun wreckers, but yeah, just calling that out. I do think this more damage modifier, depending on how our flat damage works, could still be the one button delete for bosses. We'll see. Lastly, after the passive tree releases, I'm going to update all the guides for leveling in endgame. I will be updating things constantly. I'll be communicating constantly about the updates. First, it'll be in Discord, and then in running update videos on the build as I progress. I should mention that I'm not like a full-time live streamer. I'm not going to be live streaming my whole campaign or anything like that. I'm much more of like an offline communicator of what I'm doing and what I'm working. Everything happens in Discord first, and then I'll post update videos on YouTube. Thanks again, everyone, for participating in the discussion so far. Please hop in with your comments. Any comments are welcome. You can feel free to just call me an idiot and leave the video. That's totally fine. But definitely the more productive ones are more helpful for all of our learning in the game. And yeah, again, if you are on Discord, come join our Discord. Let's do some PoE2 stuff together. Thanks, everyone.